Welcome to the hottest tech from round one of the Downhill World Cup here in Bielsko-Biala in Poland. Things are looking to kick off very soon, but I thought we'd dive into the pits for some hottest tech. Some of the hottest tech I've seen already starting is this thing. The Commencal MucOff pits are insane. They just keep going and going and going. The pit game has most definitely been upped this year with fancy trucks everywhere. But let's get on into the pits. Right, interesting looking bikes at the Yeti pits. We've got a few of their downhill bikes, high pivot bikes lined up in the rack behind us. Cami Blanche, Richie Rude's bike. Cami was actually the winner here last year. Can she repeat that as a brand new team for her? The bikes look sick. You know, you gotta love that turquoise. High pivot, Shimano parts, gold Fox 40s up front. Will we see one of those on the top step? Some interesting stuff going on in the Norco race division then pits. Just had a look at Danny Hart's bike, and actually all three of the bikes in there all got telemetry on, so they're all very sort of data acquisition, looking for all those numbers. But I actually noticed Danny's got a different seat stay, on his bike as well, because they're playing around with different stiffnesses. Only his bike had it, and I hear that the mechanics said they might get another different sort of back end as well to play with different stiffnesses there as well, looking for sort of even more, should we say, compliance. But cool things going on in Norco race division. I reckon, because it's pretty muddy here, Danny could be one to watch. Specialised have always got it going on at World Cup downhills. Now I've just popped into their pits, and obviously they've got the latest iteration of their prototype downhill bike, the demo, where that sort of front sprocket is disconnected from the cranks and it now runs the chain line up above it. So is there some kind of internal wizardry going on there? Almost definitely, but there's still a rear mech, so we're not talking gearbox at the moment. Rear shock layout's very similar, electronic suspension again as well, and you can see those controls up on the top left of the bars. 3 different buttons. I'm assuming there's various lockout and pedal and kind of anti-bob type modes. Biggest talking point obviously is the brakes. Now, Öhlins got bought out by Brembo. So are these Brembo brakes or prototypes? Well, we'll have to wait and see, but they certainly look like a very finished product. We're actually looking at Jordan Williams' bike in there. The calipers were a very different colour or different finish to the brake levers, so maybe they're still jigging the calipers around a little bit. But it'll be exciting to see, and it's, all kicking off in Specialised. Actually, Specialised as well, very data-driven. We're running telemetry on their bikes as well. I think we're going to see that pop up on a few more bikes during practice. Ah, that's a suspension test there.
Yeah, it's warming her up a bit.
Can I steal you for a second then, actually, Ronan? Is that all right?
No worries.
How you doing?
Yeah, good.
Nice.
Keeping well.
Yeah, okay, man. All right, I want to quickly chat about your bike, because we're looking at some tech around the pits, and this bike, I've noticed a few things. Telemetry, tuned mass damper, and actually, did I see a different bottom bracket shell on there as well?
Yeah, adjustable BB shell.
Yeah, is that to adjust height?
Yeah, well, this bike's still the prototype, so it's not the final version of what's going into production bike. So I think originally, obviously, we had the head set cups, the braces, the BB, a few more chips to make it more progressive or linear. So we can play around the heights. Like the rest of the lads, they all run a -4 bottom bracket, and then I run a -6, so the lowest.
Oh, really?
We could make.
Is that personal preference?
Yeah, you just want a low. I like a low BB.
Okay.
It's better for turning.
Yeah, real planted.
Yeah, like it's a bit more planted to the ground. Obviously, because I have quite long legs, so.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, we could go lower if we wanted to, but this is, I think, just on the perfect verge of.
And I've noticed you've got no brace on that back end. Is that to give you more flexibility in there?
We have the middle brace on.
Ah, okay, I didn't see that one.
We just and there's also a bottom one, but we haven't really used those. They were just like the original design.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for maybe not for this track, but let's say Ludenville, the next race.
Yeah.
Super steep track, we'll take that brace out when it gets wet, just because it gives us loads of flex.
It'll stay with the rear action.
Yeah, it just feels like you have a flat tire, that kind of feel, like super soft shock. So it's great for like super soft rounds and where you want to be holding off cambers. This track, pretty quick all around, so not majorly there.
Okay.
But, we'll probably play around with it. That's kind of like our wet setting. We'll use.
And tune mass dampers, you've been running for a little while.
Yeah.
I see you're like an early adopter of the craze, should we say?
Well, yeah, I think everyone hopped on the
bandwagon.
And then everybody's kind of died off it, because I think
I've seen a few rounds.
Yeah, a few, but I think a lot of people realize it has to be tuned for the bike.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously Pablo, our engineer. I don't know what the f***'s in there.
You're all right, don't worry.
But
it's just magic.
He seems to do, and yeah, they do work the dream.
Yeah.
They're heavy. The bike is super heavy. But yeah, they work to advantage.
Cool. Salma?
Yeah, no, she's going good.
Ronan, all right. Thanks very much, buddy.
Cheers. Thank you.
More telemetry spotted over in the canyon pits. You can see Lucas Shaw's new sender in the background with that telemetry going down the forks. There's also what looks like a dropper lever on the left of the bars. It's not. It's actually like an override lockout button for the flight attendant suspension that they're running front and rear. Scott Factory down and out, and they're keeping things very secret. We were allowed to pop in, but we're not allowed to film the bikes close up. Now, obviously, they've got that new downhill bike that looks pretty much ready to go. Obviously, where that shock is hidden, very low down around sort of the bottom bracket area. But what I noticed on the bikes inside, except we can't film up close, but Benoit Coulange, obviously, big old bike, but it's going to be a mud race here. We've got a few mud adaptations under the down tube around the bottom bracket area. The first to see disc brake covers as well to kind of keep the mud and crap and kind of protect the disc a little bit, if you like, as well. But interestingly, there's a different linkage on these bikes as well, sort of CNC linkage. I noticed that on a few other bikes, and Ethan Crack actually, again, on his bike, has that telemetry system on there. So something that everyone seems to be doing is trying to collect data on these new bikes that they've got. Really interesting to see what Scott are doing, You know, big old mudguard on the front here, spike tyres as well. They are gearing up for what look like some pretty horrendous conditions. In the Atherton pits end, obviously another belt drive gearbox bike here. But also we got more mud modifications. So they've introduced this different brace across the back here where they can adjust flexibility and things like that. Well, you see we've got some sort of ghetto kind of mud protection, we'll call it. Ghetto mud protection? Engineered mud protection. What do you mean nothing? It's held on the zip ties. No. Hang on.
Months of plan.
How's that zip held on?
Hopes and dreams.
Hopes and dreams. I mean, what better to build a team on? Also, we got like these are actually quite factory. This little Atherton sort of branded emblem, kind of pad covers, if you like, on the calipers. Those are cool. That's ghetto. This bike could win 100 grand. Trek Factory Racing keeping us guessing as well. There is some cool tech going on here. Again, we saw telemetry going on Larky Stevens' McNabb's bike. There's actually different lower shock mounts going on all the different riders' bikes as well to change the progression curve, which is really cool to really fine-tune it. They're all high pivot bikes. I also noticed on the top, essentially the stem cap, the top of the steerer tube, if you like, they had a sensor that was wired in to the black boxer's flight attendant. Bit of a mouthful, I know, but whether it's some kind of different accelerometer, different sensor, could just be a Tamagotchi, who knows? Could be a Stoke level measure for all I know. But they were very tight-lipped on it. They weren't saying nothing about it. But, you know, everyone riding an aluminium bike in there as well. No carbon bikes throughout the entire pits. Locky's looking very fast. Some very cool trick parts on there, like I said, including that telemetry again. Looking forward to see what they got. Trek also running prototype Bontrager wheels as well as some blacked out suspicious looking tyres. I'm not sure if they're Bontrager or not, but you know, those guys are always pushing the boundaries, so good to see more prototype parts. Here's a pretty cool piece of hot tech from the pits, not just Joe Breeden's intense M1 as a whole with the whole belt drive and gearbox, but it's got some weird gizmos going on it, and most notably these kind of bar ends, these homemade bar ends. Now I spoke to Joe and apparently he gets a bit of arm pump, he struggles with it, he's had some crashes where he's blown his hands off the actual end of the bars in the past, and basically he just holds onto these and it stops that happening. He kind of uses them as a buffer, if you like. It's pretty cool. Other notable things, obviously we've got a tuned mass damper on here and there'll be a steering damper as well. He never runs them at the same time, but this bracket here, it's not on at the moment, but there is a steering damper which is run. Pretty cool bike. I'll be keen to see if a belt-driven bike does make it onto the top step of the podium. Man, there's so much tech going on at this first World Cup. It's mind-boggling. I absolutely love to see how the teams are really kind of trying to develop their bikes, eke out every sort of millisecond, if you like, because that's what it comes down to these days at the races. There's so much going on. I want to find a few more little bits, and then I think we're nearly done. The final of our 4 belt drive contenders. This is a hot bit of kit, I think, the Zerode G3. Zerode being early adopters of sort of the belt drive and gearbox movement, but obviously now going for that Gates prize purse of 100,000 euros, I think it is. It's a lot of money, but it's a real cool bike. Full aluminium setup going on here. Really liking sort of the red and white black colour scheme. Underdogs is what I'm saying here, but watch out, Tuoto I reckon he'll be fast on one of these. Orbea winning the pit game. Look at the setup for Orbea FMD Racing, and they've got their ULAB kind of downhill bike in the stand. Tiny Seagrave's bike is right there. Again, telemetry on that brand new bike. The shroud of mystery is on it, so we can't quite see how the linkage and the layout of the frame is, but it's not often you see a new downhill bike, so pretty exciting. Looking forward to seeing how that one goes. And that's a wrap for the hottest tech from the Downhill World Cup. It is insane out here. So much fancy kit everywhere. I love to see it and can't wait to watch the racing. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Until next time, I'll see you later.